If you're looking for the answers, I still don't have them. But what I do have is a particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people who mislead, misinform, or misrepresent the sports card industry. So if you don't do that, I'll let it go. But if you do, I want to talk about you. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card Investigator Show. My name is Andy, your ever humble host. And today's episode is going to hit a little differently, because we're talking about something serious. And we'll get back to the fun and games in the next episode, I promise. But I think this is very important, and I think we got to talk about it. Sports card addiction. It's a topic that has quietly lingered in the background for years. Lately, it's moved to the front and center for good reason. Plenty of content creators have talked about it quite thoughtfully and eloquently. But I think it's time that I added my voice to the conversation. And I guess the reason is because it really kind of hit me hard, the way card addiction mirrors drug addiction, substance use disorder. It's more than just a surface level. It's not just only about the behavior itself. It's about brain chemistry. It's about emotional patterns and, unfortunately, long-term consequences. Now, I've never battled addiction personally, and I am so thankful for that. But I spent over 30 years in drug prevention and law enforcement. I've educated, presented to thousands of students, parents, teachers, professionals from every neck of the woods on what addiction really looks like, how it starts, how it takes hold, and how it hides in plain sight. And lately, unfortunately, I've noticed some of those same warning signs showing up in our hobby. So let's start with a simple question. Why do you or we as a hobby chase cards in the first place? Simple answer, right? Because it feels great. You want to hit that monster out of a blaster. You want to land that grail on eBay. And that surge of excitement that you feel, you know what it is? It's dopamine. Dopamine is that same chemical triggered by sugar, gambling, even substance use. But what really keeps us coming back to it, what really pulls us back, think about it, hope. The hope that this time when I pull that pack or whatever, enter a break, it's going to be different. This pack, this box, this break, this could be the one. And it is no different than buying a lottery ticket. We all have done it, and we all know the odds are terrible. We know we're not hitting anything, but it's that little sliver, what if, that brings us and hooks us back. It's not logic. It's strictly chemistry. And it's not just excitement. It's a neurological reinforcement. And once that loop is activated, it's almost impossible to shut it off. Excuse me. And here's something that most people don't realize, and this is when I talk to younger kids, actually not even that young, probably college age. I explain to them that their brain's not even fully developed. You know your brain's not even developed till the age of 25, and that includes, not to get too deep into it, but that includes what's called the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain that controls judgment, decision-making, and risk assessment. So in our case, like younger collectors, early 20s, I know some content creators that are in their early 20s. But there's that internal voice that says, slow down, think twice, maybe not do this. That is not fully online yet. So instead, the amygdala, that's the emotional brain that's behind the wheel. See, that's what craves that next hit of pleasure with zero regard of consequences. And here's the kicker, too. The perception of risk, that's not fully developed either in these kids. They don't weigh the odds like adults do. long-term consequences, the money, the regret, the emotional toll, it doesn't land the same way. And in a lot of cases, unfortunately, it doesn't register at all. And it's not, I really try to stress this when I talk to these kids. It's not that they don't care. It's that their brains have not even learned how to care about the risk. I always talk about, I actually have a clip I think I show sometimes about The Simpsons. You might remember it. Bart goes to the hot stove, he touches it and gets burned, and goes, ow, 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 and
wise guy, eh? Ow, ow.
each time he's kind of surprised that touching a hot stove hurts. That's not stupidity. It's funny. It's not stupidity. That's underdeveloped impulse control. And it's a perfect example of how a young brain reacts to risk and reward. These kids are not reckless. They're not stupid. They're just neurologically under-equipped to hit the brakes and recognize when they're heading straight for a brick wall. And that's kind of scary in this hobby when you see what they're into every single day. So I know what you're thinking, Andy. That's the kids. What about us? We're grown adults. We don't have that issue. Here's the hard truth. Just because we're older, it doesn't mean we're immune. We've just gotten better at rationalizing it. We tell ourselves it's fun, it's harmless, it's nostalgic. I've done it. Or the best one, it's an investment. But for many of us in our 30s and 40s and 50s and beyond, cards start to fill a deeper gap, right? You get older, what happens? Stress builds, your family roles shift, you get married, you have kids, maybe your career plateaus, and those quiet moments that you used to treasure, they get louder and louder. So we ask ourselves, is this it? Do I still matter? What can I control? And suddenly, the hobby becomes more than a hobby. To some of us, a lot of us, it becomes a coping mechanism. It connects us to childhood. It gives us a sense of control. It offers us a place where we still can win. And what else does it do? Delivers that dopamine on demand. One break, one box, one bit at a time. But here's the trap. We confuse numbing for nostalgia. We tell ourselves we're enjoying it when really it's just an escape. I know, it's pretty deep. Wanna go deeper? Let's talk about the most addictive part of the hobby. You know it, braking. Braking is engineered for dopamine. It's fast, flashy, it's unpredictable. And it feels just like gambling. You know why? Because it is gambling. You buy in hoping to hit that monster. You watch the live stream. And even when you lose that near miss pull, the guy next, if I just would have picked, it pulls you right back in. And that's a classic reinforcement behavior. That's the same psychological loop that keeps people glued to slot machines in Vegas. And now, it's not just about the cards. No, it's about content, fear of missing out, FOMO, as the young kids say, the community, the rush. And you're not just spending money. You're spending time, emotional energy, and your mental bandwidth. And you're chasing a hit that you probably will never get. And let's be honest about this. You know it. The house never loses. Breakers get their margin, platforms get their cut. You are the only one that's rolling the dice. And when it gets bad, I've seen it. You don't remember what teams you have. You just know you need to rip something or be in a break. And if you ever said to yourself, one more break, only to jump into 3 more after that, got to start thinking. Now, there are red flags, and people have mentioned these before, and it's important to know, but it's important to know if you act. If you don't act, the red flags are just an obstacle you just step over. But if you're spending money you shouldn't, or if you're hiding it, if you feel anxious or irritable when you're not buying or breaking or bidding, you justify every purchase as an investment, even though you know it's not. We know it's not. You just say one more box and you're 5 deep. And maybe most important, you've lost interest in things that used to bring you joy. Now, that doesn't make you weak. No, it makes you human. But when the hobby starts controlling you instead of the other way around, it's just time to reset. It really is. You guys know what the cycle of addiction is? You might see it on there. I sent it to Tyler if he can get it up there. But when I speak to people about substance use disorder and kids and the whole everything about drugs, talk a little bit about this. And it's very similar. Whether it's Prism or pills, the pattern is the same. Use, blaster here, a retail box there. Get dependent. You're watching daily breaks, checking comps nonstop. You're bidding. You try to withdraw, right? You try to withdraw from it. You go a few days without it. You're edgy. But then it becomes dangerous because you become tolerant. And what you used to do doesn't feed that beast. That $20 rip doesn't do it anymore. Now you need hobby boxes, cases, big dollar breaks just to feel something. And I've seen it before. I'm not just speaking as someone who collects cards. Unfortunately, I've seen addiction wreck lives, not cards, but drugs. It wreck lives, wreck families in ways that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Smart, successful people making irrational decisions because the high to them was worth the risk. And now, as I said before, unfortunately, I'm starting to see those same patterns here. Sneaking around, hiding purchases from your spouse, spending beyond your means because you're calling it some kind of a value. You're feeling guilty, but you continue to do it. Those are not hypotheticals. Those are real stories, the ones that show up on social media every day. And you got to know behavioral addiction is a real thing. Addiction is just not about a substance. Behavioral addiction is driven by emotion, repetition, and reward. It's just as real. And sometimes it's even harder to spot because it hides in things that we love. You know, it's just cards until it's not. So what can help? Set firm spending limits. Take regular breaks from content and marketplaces. Talk to a spouse, friend, counselor, your priest, your rabbi, reverend, pastor. If you truly lost control, you got to get help, and there's no shame in that. Professional support works. It rewires the pattern. And yes, I will tell you, relapse will occur. You'll get out, you'll cut back, and then some shiny thing will drag you right back in again. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you got to be more aware. And before I know it, you watch, there'll be mockers of this. I've seen it already. I've seen videos of people making fun of addiction. I've heard the jokes, and let me be clear, I won't give it attention. And honestly, if you think this is something to laugh at, you've already told us more about yourself than you probably wanted to. So let me close out with this. I love this hobby. I love this community. It brings joy, connection, nostalgia, discovery. But when collecting stops being about the cards and starts becoming only about the chase, when that spark of happiness that you have turns into a need, then it's time to pause. And I'll ask myself the question sometimes, am I collecting or am I chasing? There's no shame, there's no judgment. I just want you guys to be aware, because the most dangerous kind of addiction is the one that we convince ourselves isn't there. So if that struck a chord, or, please let me know. Drop me a comment. And if you've seen this in yourself or someone you care about, get help. Speak up. Talk about it. Be honest. Because it does affect a lot of people. So that's it. That's all for today. Little different, little serious. Figured I'd come on and just chime in on this because I've seen it and I don't like where it's going. So that's it. Promise I'll get back to the nonsense at the next video. So that's it all for today. Take care.